Emily Pazzi with the American Planning Association, and I'm joined today by Sarah Marchant. Sarah is the Community Development Division Director for the City of Nashua, New Hampshire. Sarah is also the chapter president of the Northern New England chapter of the American Planning Association. Sarah, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
So your community is the second largest city in New Hampshire, and you've done a lot of really fantastic work with various community development programs. So why don't we start off today by talking about why is federal support of those programs so vital to the growth of Nashua?
So the federal support that we get from CDBG and HOME programs is really essential to many of serving our most vulnerable population. So those funds go directly towards supporting a lot of the area nonprofits, things that support people with domestic and sexual abuse. They go towards youth programs, youth services, after-school programs, which are really critical, and many other helping people get back on their feet type of programs. So those are some direct recipients of those funds that we partner with many of our local nonprofits on. Some other ways we use those funds are for economic development. They go to our revolving loan program, which gives small loans to small businesses to keep them moving or to close a gap in financing to get them on their feet. So we have a lot of innovative programs that way that we're able to leverage those federal dollars to really reinvest back in our community. Another good example is through the HOME program, is through being able to do housing rehab. We have an example that came up this past year is a gentleman who hadn't been able to take a real bath in his house for years because he was wheelchair bound and his wife couldn't get him in and out of the bathing facilities they have. So we were able to leverage some HOME funds to help them redo a bathroom so that he can have adequate bathing facilities in his house. And has really been a life-changing thing. And it wasn't huge dollars, but it really helps people be able to stay in place in their communities and to live efficiently. So we've been able to do many different kinds of things like that.
So I'm sure there are many examples of, in addition to what you just shared with us, of how these dollars are being used in your community. Any other stories that come to mind for either CDBG or HOME specifically?
Yeah, so we have a recent CDBG story for us was a Vietnamese family who was living in the city, and they have a house that they've purchased, and it's a mom and dad, 2 teenagers and a 10-year-old son. And they had an issue with their sewer line. And so they called a friend to come fix it for them. And they paid $3,000 to have their sewer line fixed. And not only did it not fix the problem, they also did the work without any permits, of course. And so they were literally not able to use, they were using water very sparingly, and they weren't able to use their bathroom facilities. And they ended up calling a local person to clear the drain, and that person is familiar with our programs and referred them to us. They were able to put a camera down the line and found that the clog was all the way out under the driveway, almost to the street, so it still wasn't the city's side, it was still their side. And it was just too big of a project for them to really understand and manage. And it became very complicated. So they were able to come in. The father came in with his son, who was able to translate for him. We got him into the program with a 0-interest loan, and we were able to manage the project, which became very complicated in that once we started actually doing the work, their neighbor's drain tied directly into theirs. We had to go underneath a concrete porch. It was something that was way beyond their capacity to handle. But through the CDBG program, those funds, we were able to provide that service, manage the whole program very effectively, and get it all done so that they are fully able to use their house and enjoy that property and have safe, clean, sanitary living conditions, and all due to the CDBG program. And it's a loan, a 0% interest loan, which they can afford and pay back. That feeds also back into the community. We use local contractors, we use local bidding process, and so that's pretty huge for us.
What would that mean to the families of Nashua if that program were to be eliminated completely? And the same goes for HOME.
I think it would be pretty drastic in that we use CDBG funds to do a lot of improvements in the city for those kind of for some of our public parks and rec spaces that we partner with local nonprofits on. For example, we were able to recondition a pool in one of our lowest income, highest minority neighborhoods this year because the pool had significant issues and it wasn't something that that was funded through regular city budget process. But through that, we were able to redo that whole pool and it will be open for that neighborhood this summer and improve the bathroom facilities. So I think CDBG money comes in all shapes and sizes in Nashua. It comes to individuals to help them with their properties. It goes to businesses who are able to do facade improvements, who are able to access a revolving loan fund so that they can grow their business in this community. And it goes to city projects that a local pool in a neighborhood that serves thousands of people over the summer. So CDBG funds are pretty critical to us in many different ways, and they aren't funding entire projects. They're closing the gap. They're closing critical gaps, and that's really important for those programs to exist.
Well, I want to thank you so much for taking time to speak with us today about how CDBG and HOME are really vitally important funds in Nashua and helping families to live healthy, stronger lives. And so thank you so much, Sarah.
Thank you, Emily.